Today we're going to be looking at some of the best FPL players to buy for Game Week 7, and we're going to start off by talking about the absolute legend himself, Brian Mbeumo. It's another game, it's another goal for that man there. For me, he's an absolutely quality player, and honestly someone you should be looking at to buy for Game Week 7, man. He's just proven time and time again that for his price at just 7.4 million, he's an amazing FPL asset to own in this game. And the reason why I like Brian Mbeumo, first things first, is because I view him as a player, as a set and forget option, as a long-term set and forget option, a glue player in your team, a player that you can start week in, week out, and you never have to worry about. We'll start off talking about the fixtures, right? The long-term fixtures for this man are absolutely fantastic, and that's obviously a big reason as to why I believe you should be looking at him for Game Week 7. It's Wolves at home in Game Week 7, right? A great fixture. Wolves haven't been good. I know, Wolves have had a pretty tough fixture run, but ultimately they've not been good so far this season, so that's a great fixture there in my opinion. Wolves at home. Then it's against Man United away in Game Week 8. We saw what Tottenham did to Man United. We've seen in every Premier League game so far this season how poor Manchester United have been defensively. And then also we've got Ipswich in Game Week 9, Fulham away in Game Week 10, Bournemouth at home in Game Week 11, Everton, then Leicester. The long-term fixtures are really good for Brian Mbeumo, guys, alright? And look, as I said, we know that Brian Mbeumo is an absolutely quality player, right? Premier League proven, guaranteed to get you 90 minutes on penalties as well. And like I said, he's just that glue guy, bro. He's someone that you can leave in your team for a long period of time, and that's what I love about this man. So look, I know, going forward, Brentford are a little bit weaker without the likes of Johan Wissa, but as I keep saying week in, week out, Brian Mbeumo is a quality player within himself. And yes, I know the Wissa does affect the Brentford attack, but still, Brian Mbeumo is a quality player within himself, and we've seen the last two goals that this man has scored have been absolutely fantastic. Two amazing volleys. So, he's producing just such high quality goals. And as I said, man, we've seen what this man can do previously in the Premier League. So for me, he's just someone that should be, at the top of your list to bring in for Game Week 7. He's a good long-term hold and a brilliant FPL asset in my opinion. So next up, we do have Cole Palmer, and I just want to talk to you guys about why you should be actually avoiding Cole Palmer instead of bringing him in for Game Week 7. And yes, I know that may be controversial, and look, what do I know? I'm no expert. I'm just a guy that likes to talk about FPL, but for me, I don't think it makes sense. I really don't think it makes sense to bring Cole Palmer in for Game Week 7 because he's about to enter a really tough fixture run in my opinion. So look, as you guys can see, he's got Nottingham Forest at home in Game Week 7. Of course, that is a pretty good fixture. Even though Nottingham Forest have put up some decent defensive numbers, I still think that's a good fixture for Cole Palmer. But then after that, it's Liverpool away at Anfield, it's Newcastle at home, United away, and Arsenal at home. Now look, 100% the Man United away game is a very good fixture, right? But still, anything can happen. Newcastle at home, it's not the best fixture, but it's not the worst fixture. But overall, when you look at that fixture run, I don't think you're maximizing the potential for points there, especially when you've got other players like Heung-min Son, for example, right? When you look at his fixture run from Game Week 7 to Game Week 11, he's got Brighton, West Ham, Palace, Villa, and Ipswich. That is so much better than the fixture run that Cole Palmer has. So when you compare the two, and when you talk about sort of maximizing your potential for FPL points, by bringing Cole Palmer in for that fixture run instead of someone like Heung-min Son, for example, I genuinely don't think you're maximizing your potential to gain and get FPL points. Because look, Son, in my opinion, will definitely score big, will definitely score more points than Cole Palmer, in my opinion. And when you look at someone like Phil Foden, for example, let's have a look at his fixture run, right? If Phil Foden does get a run of games, for example, this fixture run is a lot better than someone like Cole Palmer. Fulham, Wolves, Southampton, Bournemouth, Brighton, right? If Phil Foden starts and you go for him, you're maximizing your potential for FPL points because you've got a world-class player playing against the worst teams in the Premier League, whereas Cole Palmer does have a lot of tricky fixtures in my opinion from Game Week 7 from Game Week 7 all the way till Game Week 11. So look, that's why I don't really agree with bringing Cole Palmer in. I think over 500,000 people have bought Cole Palmer in. Some people are even selling Bukayo Saka, guys. Some people are even selling Bukayo Saka for Cole Palmer, and for me, that's absolute madness. But I'll say this again, I am no expert, so you might think I'm chatting rubbish, which is totally fair enough. But again, Bukayo Saka, people are selling Saka for Palmer when he's got Southampton at home. I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous. Southampton are just atrocious. They're rubbish. They're crap. I would not be selling Bukayo Saka this week, and then it's Bournemouth away after that. Again, another poor defensive team. So for me, I just look at everyone, you know, sort of knee-jerking and bringing Cole Palmer in, and in my opinion, it's just the wrong decision. And as I said, look, I'm ranked at like 1.3 million at the moment. So again, what do I know? But for me, when you talk about sort of maximizing your potential for FPL points, I don't think you're doing that by bringing in Cole Palmer in for this run, because look, of course he could score against the Liverpool, of course he could score against Newcastle, of course he could score against Arsenal, he could, because Cole Palmer is genuinely a really good world-class talent at the moment, right? So of course he can score against anyone. Some people might say he's fixture proof, but what are the odds of him scoring in those games? Because if I was to tell you who's got a higher chance of scoring, Cole Palmer against Liverpool away, or let's just say Heung-min Son against West Ham at home in game week 8, for example. And I'm going to choose Heung-min Son against West Ham at home every day of the week, because look, as you guys can see, in game week 8, Son's got West Ham at home, right? And then in game week in game week 8, Cole Palmer's got Liverpool away. So that's what I'm talking about when I'm trying to make the point of sort of maximizing your potential for FPL points, right? Of course, Palmer could score, but again, what are the percentages? What are the odds of Palmer scoring more points than Son when he's playing Liverpool away compared to Son playing West Ham at home? And we've seen how bad West Ham are defensively this season. So this is the sort of thing that I'm talking about. Again, in game week 11, right? For all those guys that have gone for Cole Palmer. In game week 11, when he's playing Arsenal at home, right? What are the odds of Cole Palmer against Arsenal at home scoring more points than Son in game week 11, who's got Ipswich at home? And this is what I'm talking about, guys. Would you look at that, right? So I just don't think it makes sense. If you go for Son, you're maximizing your potential for FPL points, right? Because Ipswich at home Ipswich at home is one of the best fixtures you can get. Ipswich are a poor defensive team. They're one of the worst defensive teams in the league. But instead of having Son, you're going to have Cole Palmer. Why? Because he just scored 4 goals. Look, I don't think you should chase those points. That game is gone. If you don't have Cole Palmer, right, you're not going to get those 4 goals that he scored by bringing him in for game week 7. It's done. It's in the past. You can only look forward, and in my opinion, it just doesn't make sense for me bringing Cole Palmer in my opinion. And again, I'll do one more example for you guys. I mean, in game week 9, right, Newcastle at home, let's have a look at a Foden in game week 9, for example. A game week 9, Foden's got Southampton at home. Again, if I was to ask you guys, who's got more of a chance of getting points? Foden, if he starts against Southampton at home, or Cole Palmer against Newcastle at home? For me, I'm choosing Phil Foden every day of the week. So look, I could go on and on and on, and I'm not going to do that, because we'll be here forever, right? But what I'm trying to say is, I just feel like you're not maximizing your points potential by bringing in Cole Palmer for the fixture run that he has. So look, in my opinion, I would be avoiding Cole Palmer. You guys might think I'm chatting absolute rubbish, and that's completely fine. I always say this, guys. I am no expert. I just like discussing. I just like talking about FPL and sharing my thoughts and my opinions. Again, so yeah, you don't have to listen to me. I'm probably just absolutely waffling right now, but yeah, that's just my opinion on Cole Palmer. I think it's a pretty big topic right now in the FPL community, so I thought I'd just give my thoughts. So yeah, let me know what you guys think down below in the comments. You know, does it make sense bringing in Cole Palmer now, or is it better to go with someone like Son? Is it better to keep Saka? Is it better to go with someone like a Phil Foden? Yeah, let me know your opinion down below in the comments. But let's move on to the next player. So next up, we do have Dominic Solanke, just at the price of 7.6 million, and in my opinion, he is another player you should be targeting for game week 7. The first thing I want to point out is the long-term fixtures for Tottenham Hotspur are absolutely amazing, guys, and that's one of the main reasons why I am recommending Dominic Solanke, right? Brighton away in game week 7, we saw what Chelsea done to Brighton. They absolutely battered them. They absolutely destroyed Brighton. Brighton play such a high line. It's absolutely ridiculous. They leave so much space in behind for the opposition attackers, and I think Spurs will genuinely exploit that, and I think they'll win that game and score a lot of goals. So I think that's a great fixture. It's a great matchup and a great fixture for Spurs to definitely score a lot of goals in. West Ham at home is again another great fixture in game week 8. West Ham have been so poor defensively this season. They look terrible under Lopetegui. Yeah, an absolute mess, because they do have a lot of good players, but they are just so poor as a defensive team. And then again, Crystal Palace away, they've also been very poor this season. It's a great fixture for Spurs. Again, guys, for me, I think the long-term fixtures all the way up until around game week like 16 are fantastic. Absolutely fantastic for Dominic Solanke and Tottenham Hotspur. So that's why I like Solanke. But not only is that the reason why I do love Dominic Solanke, in an Ange Postecoglou system, the number 9 gets plenty and plenty of goal scoring opportunities created for them. It's something I was talking about a few weeks ago when I first recommended buying Dominic Solanke, right? He's going to have a lot of chances created for him in a Tottenham team. We've seen it on the eye. We saw it last season with Richarlison and when Son was playing in that number 9 role. This time it's Solanke's turn, and Solanke is definitely a good enough player to put the ball in the back of the net. So I just think it's a perfect matchup for me. In the Ange Postecoglou system, Dominic Solanke, a good Premier League proven striker that can put the ball in the back of the net. I just think, yeah, it's a no-brainer for me. And also another thing that I want to point out, this also just proves, how much of a good attacking side Spurs really are. As you guys can see here, the underlying data for them is also really, really good. They actually are on expected goals the best performing team so far this Premier League season. So that also further proves, how good and just how deadly Spurs are at creating chances, which is why I just love the Spurs attackers, given the fact that they really do have good long-term fixtures. But not only is, Tottenham's underlying data good, Dominic Solanke's underlying data, for my people out there, you guys know I'm preferably an eye test manager, but for my people, for you guys watching this video that, prefer analytics and underlying data and all that good stuff, again, Dominic Solanke's underlying data is fantastic. And that's no surprise given the fact that Spurs create so many chances, but he's got 0.88 expected goals per 90, which is absolutely fantastic. And also his expected assists is also pretty good as well, 0.07. Of course, overall that adds up to 0.95 expected goal involvement per 90, which in my opinion is just absolutely fantastic, guys. Absolutely fantastic. So look, the underlying data is really, really good. On the eye test, Solanke is really, really good. For me, yeah, it's a no-brainer. He's definitely someone you should be looking at to buy for game week 7 in my opinion. So I also do think that James Maddison, Brennan Johnson, Heung-min Son and Pedro Porro are some other good Spurs options to transfer in for your FPL teams. I really do like James Maddison as a pick, man, because just watching Spurs and on the eye test, I can see that he's just so involved. He's picking up some really, really good spaces in and around the penalty area and linking up really well with players like Kulusevski. He's creating chances for attackers. He's getting close to scoring goals as well. So overall, I just think James Maddison is just so involved in the Spurs attacking play. And yeah, he's a quality player. And I just think he's a really good FPL option. If you are someone that is looking to, move off Liverpool players, for example, if you're looking to transfer out an Eze or Luis Diaz, if you're looking to transfer out like a Luis Diaz or a Diogo Jota or an Eberechi Eze from Crystal Palace, then I do think, moving off those players to go to someone like Maddison isn't a bad idea at all. I also do like Brennan Johnson as well, because, he's just in crazy form right now. He scored 4 goals in his last 4 games in all competitions, 2 goals in his last 2 Premier League games. Brennan Johnson is the man in form right now for Tottenham. So yeah, I do think at the price of 6.4 million, he could prove to be a really, really good differential, because not a lot of people own Brennan Johnson. So yeah, and of course the long-term fixtures are good. If Son is fit to play, if Ange does confirm in a press conference that Son is available for selection, then I think he's an amazing option. And like I said, when talking about Cole Palmer, I definitely would be looking at bringing Son in as instead of someone like Cole Palmer, because the long-term fixtures are good, and also we know what Son can do. We know how much of a great player and a great finisher this man is. So I do like Son as an option. And to be honest with you guys, he's a massive differential, because he's just so low owned. He's, at the time of recording, he's got like 7% ownership, which is extremely low. So I think Son as well, if confirmed fit to play, is a really, really good option. And for a defender pick, Pedro Porro, man, I think Pedro Porro, in my opinion, I say it a lot, but I think after Trent Alexander-Arnold, he is the second best attacking player for FPL in my opinion, right? I think he just gets so, he picks up these, positions that you would see a midfielder pick up in an Ange Postecoglou system. So Pedro Porro does get forward a lot. He creates a lot of chances. He gets shots off as well. So I like Pedro Porro for the attacking threat, but also defensively, definitely Spurs have improved. I will say that I have noticed that Spurs are not conceding as many chances as they did last season. So I actually do like Pedro Porro as an option to own from game week 7 onwards, man, because not only is there clean sheet potential there, but there is that attacking threat and the attacking potential. So look, I think all players here are really, really good options to own. So I guess just take your pick. I mean, if you were to ask me to rank these players, obviously Pedro Porro is a defender, so it's a bit different. If you needed a defender pick, then I go for Pedro Porro. But if you're looking for a midfielder, when you factor in price and everything, it's really tough to rank these guys. I'd probably say Son, Maddison, then Johnson, I'd probably say. But look, they are all different prices, right? So yeah, I don't know, just take your pick, but all options are really, really good. Next up, we do have Rico Lewis, just at the price of 4.7 million. Now, I know some of you guys may be looking at this and thinking that this is a risky pick, and I do understand that. Of course, you know, Pep Guardiola could bench him at any time, but I just think at his price, given the fact that Man City have such good fixtures in like the next 5 to 6 game weeks, you know, they've got Fulham, Wolves, Southampton, Bournemouth and Brighton, I actually think it's worth taking the risk on Rico Lewis because the fixtures are so good and he's so cheap. Yes, you could argue, you know, you're better off just picking maybe the safer pick and going for Gvardiol. But look, if Rico Lewis and Gvardiol are starting at the same time, I certainly do prefer Rico Lewis as the FPL option to own. So I don't know if it's worth paying the extra money to get Gvardiol, in my opinion, because look, also when Rico Lewis plays, right, he is essentially not even playing as a defender, right? Especially now that Rodri's injured. He's like, we saw against Newcastle, he was playing as a midfielder, essentially as like an attacking 8, which is absolutely insane because, you know, he's playing for the best team in the league. He's only costing 4.7 million and he's playing in an attacking system under Pep Guardiola with Manchester City, playing in an attacking role. So I do really like him as an option. As I said, I just think his potential and his ceiling is so high because of the good fixtures they have. Like, I think he'll definitely play, you know, in game week 7, for example, when they got Fulham at home. I think he plays that. In game week 9, sorry, when they've got Southampton at home, I think he plays that. And even Wolves, I just think he plays these games and his ceiling is just so high when he plays because, like I said, he's not really playing as a defender. He's playing as the sort of an attacking 8, you know. He's an attacking midfielder. It's absolutely ridiculous. So look, I do think Rico Lewis is a risk 100%, but I think at his price he's worth the risk. And if you were to compare him to, you know, defenders around his price range to other 4.5 million defenders, I think Rico Lewis is the much better option. Like, I don't think there's any 4.5 million defender that is better than Rico Lewis. And look, I know some people are going to say that, you know, why would I put a Man City defender in the first place? They seem to concede every single week. And I completely understand that Manchester City somehow, some way seem to just pretty much concede in every game at the moment. And it's crazy because when you watch City play, they really do, you know, minimize the opposition creating chances, right? They actually are a good defensive team. You know, other teams don't really create a lot of chances against Manchester City. So they somehow just seem to concede the odd goal every time. But what I will say is I think it will level out because I don't think this will keep on happening. I just don't see it. I think, you know, the underlying data for Man City's defense is also very good. If I show you guys the expected goals conceded table, you'll see Liverpool at the top and Man City in second. So again, according to this data, Man City are the second best defensive team in the league. And as I said, I know they keep conceding, but when you watch City play, teams actually don't create a lot of chances against City. So they've been pretty unlucky, but I don't expect that to continue. I think it will balance out. Things will balance out. And I think, you know, in the next 5 to 6 games, Man City will get 3 to 4 clean sheets. I really do believe that. So I just think, you know, on the clean sheet side of things, Rico Lewis is a good pick coming up with these fixtures, and also on the attacking output side of things, I think Rico Lewis is a good pick. And when you combine those two together, I think that makes Rico Lewis a fantastic option, in my opinion. Of course, I could be wrong. I'm no expert, so what do I know? But look, it's just my opinion. I think Rico Lewis could be a great option. So next up, guys, we do have a differential pick, and that man is Leandro Trossard. I actually do think this could be a good short-term punt if your team is set up in a way where you're able to, you know, take a risk, or you're able to take a to use a transfer for the short term. I think Trossard could be a really good pick. He's got Southampton at home in game week 7 and Bournemouth away in game week 8. Obviously, after that, the fixtures do turn for the worse. All right, they do get worse because they got Liverpool, then Newcastle away, then Chelsea away. So as I said, it's more of a short-term pick for Leandro Trossard, a short-term differential punt, and I think it generally could be a good one. I said that against Leicester, you know, Arsenal will most likely score a lot of goals, and they did. They scored 4 goals. Trossard got 1 goal, 1 assist. Against Southampton, I expect the same, and against Bournemouth, I expect the same as well. I think Arsenal will rack up the goals in the next 2 games against Southampton at home and Bournemouth away. So for that reason, I do think Trossard could be a good option. I do expect him to start those games as well, because since Odegaard's injury, Trossard has actually been, you know, he's got increased minutes, right? He's been starting games and he's got increased minutes. So I do believe Trossard could be a good option as a short-term punt for the next 2 games. I know most people do actually have 3 Arsenal players already, because especially if you wildcarded, I mean, most people did wildcard into 3 Arsenal players. But if you are someone that hasn't used the wildcard yet, if you are someone that doesn't have 3 Arsenal players, and again, you want a differential punt, I think Trossard could be that guy, because we know he's a good finisher. We know he's Premier League proven. We know he can score goals, and throughout last season, this season, Trossard has been a pretty clutch player for Arsenal and someone that they can rely on to get those goals. So I do like Trossard as a good short-term differential punt. I am going to try and start including more differential players in these transfer videos, because I think they can make the difference. They can help boost your rank. So yeah, of course, again, I'm no expert, so you don't have to listen to me, but I do think Trossard could be a good pick for Arsenal, because we saw last season as well, they typically did actually, destroy the lesser sides, like Sheffield, like West Ham last season, Bournemouth last season. They did rack up the goals, and I think they'll do the same in the next 2 games, which is why I do like Trossard as an option. But that is going to be it for today's video, guys. I really do hope you enjoyed, and if you did, make sure you do smash a big thumbs up on the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and guys, I will catch you in the next video. But until then, I'm out. Peace.